Well, in a stunning reversal, President Trump has called out the deployment of federal immigration agents to the Bay Area. Throughout the day, protesters have been trying to block the entrance of the Coast Guard station. This is in Alameda. And we saw some intense moments as several Custom and Border Patrol vans showed up this morning with federal officers firing flashbangs and pepper balls. And then this afternoon, the CHP took over the streets just outside the Coast Guard station. At one point, they opened a path for a convoy of vehicles leaving the base. We also saw a couple of people taken into custody for refusing to get off the road. But what could have been a major escalation cooled down earlier this morning when word came from San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie that President Trump had canceled whatever operation was planned for our region. But that has not stopped protesters from showing up to tell the Trump administration to keep federal immigration agents out of the Bay Area. This is a live look at a protest that's getting underway right now at the Embarcadero Plaza. And across the bay are choppers over Oakland, where more than 100 protesters are marching from Fruitvale Plaza back to the Coast Guard base in Alameda. We'll keep an eye on these protests this evening. But first, Brad Hamilton joins us live with the details on this turnaround from the Trump administration and what it could mean for communities all across the Bay Area. Brad, good evening.
Ryan, the mayor had two big reasons as to how they were able to convince the president to call off this surge. The first being that the mayor is already trying to clean up the streets of San Francisco, and the second being that agents won't help him accomplish that mission.
I told him the same thing that I have told our residents. San Francisco is on the rise.
As Border Patrol agents arrived at Coast Guard Island in Alameda on Thursday morning, San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie shared that in a conversation with President Trump last night, he convinced the commander-in-chief to halt a surge of federal agents.
In our conversation, the president told me clearly that he was calling off any plans for a federal surge in San Francisco. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem reaffirmed that direction in our conversation this morning.
Trump confirmed the news in a message on Truth Social. It read, quote, "I spoke with Mayor Lurie last night, and he asked, very nicely, that I give him a chance to see if he can turn it around. I told him I think he's making a mistake because we can do it much faster." Trump went on to say that great people like NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff and others have called, saying that the future of San Francisco is great. They want to give it a shot. Therefore, we will not surge in San Francisco on Saturday, end quote. Later, at a Homeland Security event Thursday afternoon, Trump elaborated on the phone calls with his friends in the Bay Area that helped change his mind.
They said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor. We're making progress. Would it be possible for you to hold off the surge? And I had 4 or 5 calls, and I think they're making progress of their own. That would be the greatest. I mean, if they could do that, that'd be great.
We appreciate that the president understands that we are the global hub for technology, and that when San Francisco is strong, our country is strong.
Another revelation from the mayor's press conference. The city plans to collaborate with the Trump administration on fighting fentanyl. Attorney General Pam Bondi addressed the partnership.
Mayor of San Francisco and I are going to be meeting on fentanyl in a few weeks and working hand in hand on that. Secretary Noem spoke to him.
Mayor Lurie says it was President Trump who called him last night. He wouldn't say much about the tech leaders that Trump mentioned in his post. When asked whether billionaires might have too much influence with the president, the mayor responded with a bit of a sidestep.
I always say this. We want to welcome small business and big business back to San Francisco. We want them to be engaged and involved in our public schools, our arts institutions, our transit. I want them engaged.
San Francisco appears to have avoided an incoming surge of federal agents, a city that 24 hours ago was a target of the president, now seemingly in partnership with the administration. But in the words used by the president himself on the matter, stay tuned.
And Brad, as the word of the president's decision to call off the surge was getting out, there was a little bit of uncertainty of whether this applied to the rest of the Bay Area. Earlier, you heard from Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee. What was her reaction?
Yeah, Ryan, Mayor Lee made it clear she hadn't had any communication with the White House or Homeland Security about this operation in Oakland. And in fact, at a press conference this morning, it's the first thing that she addressed.
In San Francisco, Mayor Lurie received a call from Donald Trump indicating that San Francisco was no longer on his list. That does not mean we are not prepared. We have no idea. This is very fluid.
Mayor Lee was flanked with other local leaders as they were really coming together to show their support for the immigrant community and also Oakland as a whole. And she wanted to really make sure that everyone knows that they should protest, but they should do so peacefully. Brian?
All right, Brad Hamilton reporting live from San Francisco City Hall. In the meantime, Governor Newsom addressed the deployment and the reversal at a rally for Proposition 50 in San Jose today.
That was always absurd. The whole pretext was nonsensical. Not only was it blatantly illegal, he would have lost in the courts, but he would have lost in the court of public opinion. I mean, San Francisco's enjoying a significant reduction in crime. Everybody knows that. It's universally understood.
And we mentioned the uncertainty about whether the president's announcement applies to the rest of the Bay Area. We spoke with CBS immigration reporter Camille Montoya Galvez about what he's hearing from Washington, D.C.
Department of Homeland Security sources tell me that this Border Patrol operation has been canceled and scrapped, and that the resources and the manpower that were going to be sent to that region of the country have been redirected to other locations across the U.S.
So we are hearing that these federal agents will not be deployed in San Francisco. What are you hearing about them being deployed in other parts of this region in the Bay Area?
So far, I have not heard that there will be a significant deployment of new Border Patrol agents or ICE officers to other parts of Northern California. But of course, ICE continues to have a field office there in San Francisco. And what I'm told is that they will continue to conduct routine operations in their area in the coming days and weeks.
All right, Camille with CBS News, thank you very much for joining us.
Everybody back it up. Let's go. Get back. Come through right now. Get out. Back it up, brother.
And before the announcement that the planned federal surge was called off, we did see some chaotic moments like this as protesters and agents clashed. At one point, flashbangs and pepper spray were deployed to break up the crowd. And another live look from our chopper in Oakland right now. More than 100 protesters marching from Fruitvale Plaza back to the Coast Guard Base in Alameda. Big group walking there right next to the road. So let's get to our very own Kenny Choi, who's been monitoring the protests in Alameda all day. So what's the scene like right now?
Yeah, Ryan, so what was a crowd in the hundreds earlier today has thinned out, as you can see right behind me. It was a day of peaceful protests for the most part, but there were some clashes igniting some tense moments.
Shame! 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 Shame!
Tensions escalating as federal agents tried to move past protesters who pounded the hoods of at least 2 marked Customs and Border Protection vehicles, and several cars trailing behind.
And they stopped at the crowd and got out and said they were going to drive through us. If we didn't move, they weren't going to stop once they started. And they started pushing through. They ran over one gentleman's foot. And another person got pushed off.
After the vehicles passed through, witnesses say federal agents in tactical gear set off 2 flash grenades.
We have a medic.
Jorge Bautista, a pastor from Oakland, was injured. He spoke after, his face covered in powder and tearing up from what appeared to be pepper balls.
Because it is our responsibility to express love and be on the side of peace and to make sure that no families are being harassed and threatened with their lives.
Bautista says he came to protest as part of a group of interfaith leaders.
We're protesting peacefully, we're walking, we're staying within the law. They are the ones who are out of the law. They are the ones who are breaking the law.
Protesters saying they oppose the deployment of federal agents and National Guard troops into cities across the country and what they believe are inhumane and illegal deportations.
Throw your signs at me? That's not okay.
As the day went on, there were some more clashes among the crowd still gathered.
Are you okay, bro?
One man wearing a thin blue line hat got shoved to the ground by protesters, blood streaming from his face. This man wearing a MAGA hat also wanted to be heard.
If they have the right to come out here and walk around, so do I.
We are not here to be violent, but if we are being aggressed, what do you do?
In the afternoon, protesters remained. CHP moved in to clear the intersection to allow vehicles to pass through. We saw at least 2 people being taken into custody. So once CHP did clear that intersection and got things under control, there were dozens of cars that left the base, the U.S. Coast Guard base here in Alameda. We also saw a caravan of unmarked SUVs. It's unclear whether those were Border Patrol vehicles from the federal government. But again, as you can see right behind me, the crowd has thinned out, but we do expect that to change throughout the night. We did see that overhead shot from the helicopter showing a large group making its way to Alameda. Ryan?
Yeah, that large group coming from Fruitvale back to the Alameda base there. So we'll keep an eye out and see if things escalate once again. Kenny Choi reporting live from Alameda. Thank you very much. And let's give you a live look from San Jose right now. Labor leaders and elected officials are coming together this evening in a show of support for immigrants in the community and to tell the president to keep federal forces away. In the meantime, faith community and labor leaders came together earlier this afternoon in San Francisco to deliver the same message to the White House. Keep federal troops out of the Bay Area. They're also calling on local residents to take action in their own neighborhoods.
No one is coming to save us. They're only sending folks, to destroy us, that we have to start fighting back. And that's at kitchen tables, that's on corners, that's in offices, that's with our families.
More than 150 organizations issued a joint statement today calling the president's immigration enforcement tactics an invasion of American cities. And we mentioned earlier, President Trump credited 2 of the Bay Area's most notable billionaires, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, in convincing him to hold off on the deployment of federal troops. Benioff has been in hot water in the last few weeks after he voiced his support for the National Guard in San Francisco. But during the Dreamforce conference last week, he walked back those comments after receiving backlash from the public. Huang, on the other hand, has praised President Trump for his support of artificial intelligence, but had remained mostly quiet on politics and policy. NVIDIA has not said what role its CEO may have played on Trump's decision to call out the federal operation in San Francisco. But earlier today, I had a chance to speak with political science professor Caroline Heldman, who says the president's reversal shows what factors into his decisions.
What just happened in San Francisco really exposes the fact that it's just not about law and order. It's about who has what clout. It's about maybe market cap. It doesn't speak well for democracy when you have big tech having this much sway with the president. But for the people of San Francisco, thank goodness, big tech has this sway, because now you don't have troops in your city.
Well, ever since the election, a number of big tech CEOs have been courting the president's favor, with Apple, Google, Meta, and Amazon all contributing to his inauguration fund. And we're staying on top of all the latest developments on the scrapped immigration enforcement operations and the protests all around the Bay Area. Just head to KPIX.com or watch us on the CBS News app.